This is a
Welcome everyone to the second episode of the reboot, I guess, or volume 2 of the Ink Panels Graphic Novel Book Club. It is the third week of the month. We are on schedule.
I can't believe it.
And we did it. We picked, or I picked this month, a book that I'm going to blame my love of this book on a source book that came out from Marvel in 1986-87.
Mm-hmm.
The official handbook of the Marvel Universe used to come out. And as a new reader to Marvel, it was everything I could need as like a starter pack for reading. It told you everything. It told all their powers. So to tail off the series, they did about 6 issues called The Official Handbook of the Dead. And I'm going through, and it's just character after character from this series that are dead. And as a 9 or 10-year-old, I'm like, what the fuck's going on? This is a Marvel book. How are there so many dead people in this book? And I was a full-on Marvel zombie at the time. I didn't read DC except for maybe Batman. Even that, it was sparingly.
Yeah.
Because Marvel, like, I knew Spider-Man, I knew everything. I used to go to a laundromat with my mom, and she'd send me the little convenience store at the end just to get me out of her hair and just see her like 75 cents to get a comic book. Shut up and read it. Just leave me alone.
I had to beg for my comic books.
Not knowing that she created this monstrous obsession.
Right?
That still going since 1986.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, around that time was when I got my first comic book. It was a Spider-Man comic book. It was a gift from a friend. We're actually still friends to this day. And it was a Spider-Man book that had the Vulture in it, right? And the old man, the Vulture Toombs, the old man was sick and was dying, and there was a younger Vulture taking over. And oh my God, I read that book so much. And when I moved here, I found a copy. I found that copy in one of the dollar bins at one of the local stores. And I was so happy that I was able to find it because I saw it and said, man, this looks so familiar. And I opened it. I remember the panels that I used to trace over. Anyway, so it was around that time, yeah. And I would go to the stores close to the house to get whatever I could get my hands on.
The first comic I bought with my own money. And it's funny because I used to watch the Spider-Man Has Amazing Friends, and they had an X-Men episode, and Wolverine's in it, and he's Australian. Very weird. But I got fascinated by the character, and then there's this issue of X-Men. It was during the Romita Jr. era. It was right after those Barry Windsor Smith issues that were amazing with Lady Deathstrike.
Yeah.
And it is Wolverine tearing the cover. I think it's like X-Men 213 or 211, something like that. Somewhere in that number range.
Yeah.
And I started reading and I was like, I have no idea what the fuck is going on, because that's everybody's reaction when they start reading X-Men. It's like you jump in and you just figure it out.
You just have to figure it out. You don't have any other option. It was too much already. By then, it was already too much, you know? I think 7
issues before Mutant Massacre.
Damn. So the first X-Men that I read, because for a while I was able to, I was just getting whatever I could get my hands on, right? And when I was in middle school, there was this teacher, right, that was selling a bunch of his old comic books in one of his rooms, and somebody told us, and we were like, oh my God, what, $1? Holy shit, let's go and let's go see what we find. And we found a bunch of West Coast Avengers and a bunch of Who's Who, and I thought that was really interesting. So, oh man, this is really cool because it gives me like, it's like an encyclopedia type of thing. I was so excited about it, and you get to see the whole character, so it was perfect, to draw. so for a while it was just whatever I could get my hands of. But my first X-Men book, that's what I was going for. The same dude that gave me the Spider-Man was the same dude that said, "Hey, I have a bunch of X-Men books for you to read." They said, "All right, I've been hearing a lot about X-Men lately. Let me see what it's about." It was the one where the X-Men are. I think it's Uncanny X-Men 245. It's Wolverine and Gambit on the cover by Jim Lee, and they're wearing
Oh,
the yellow and blue suit, and they're in the sheer empire in space. And it was like, I said, wait, aren't these people supposed to be like teammates? What the fuck, you know? And then the next book that I had, because it was,
issue 275.
I think, or something like that. Then the other issue that I had was Wolverine on top of Professor Xavier, and grabbing him by, and he's like all on the floor, and
Yes.
I was like, what is happening? I was so confused, but I wanted to read all of it.
So after that, Squadron Supreme got on my radar because I was like, what the fuck went on in this book? There's all these dead characters. And it's very weird because apparently 1985, 1986 is where the whole like landscape of comics changed.
Right?
And I'm going to say something very grandiose. I think if Watchmen never came out 6 months after this book would be talked about differently because they kind of came out 6 months apart. Marvel had this one, DC had Watchmen, Crisis was coming out right around the same time. Like it was Dark Knight Returns was on its way coming out. Like it was one of the craziest years in comics. And I think Secret Wars was like somewhere right around this range.
Wasn't a little bit earlier than this? Let me look that up.
I can't remember because I feel like 86, 85, 86 was somewhere in that range because Black Suit Spidey was right around that time.
The first one was published because thanks to this beautiful thing, it was 85, 84, okay. 85. So a year before. So we're talking about what you're saying is that mid 80s was a turning point in the style of comics, which I agree.
Yeah. Also, like the comics code had kind of gone away by that point.
Yeah, it was there, but it was more like
loose. It was very loose.
It was more of a like, we just have to put it over on top of the like. We have the label on the cover of the books, but nobody's actually really, there's for the longest time I thought that this thing was like like an entity that would, look over every book and make sure that everything was in that there was a whole process before a book came out, and then you later on I learned that was not how it worked.
So this book is kind of a deconstruction of superheroes like Watchmen, but it's wildly different.
Yes.
Where this is about a fallen society that the heroes decided they were going to save. And the heroes are very flawed in this.
Dude,
and they're very open about their issues. Watchmen, the heroes were told to go away, and it was dealing with not being able to be heroes. And where Watchmen was these analogs of these Charlton characters. This is the Justice League.
Oh yeah. This there's no denying that. This was the Justice League, period.
And this is part of the T. Roy Thomas, who was a big Marvel writer exclusive to them for years, wanted to always write the Justice League, but he wrote for Marvel. So they were having this like big grandmaster thing where they chose heroes and villains, and he brought in originally the Squadron Sinister, evil versions of the Justice League. And then 20 issues later, he's like, you know what? I'm just going to bring in the Justice League, but under different names. And they had a couple of crossovers with the Avengers. And then 1982, which the Defenders had an issue or two that was the prologue to the series, where I think it was Hyperion or Nighthawk goes to the Earth 616 proper and says, I need help. The Overmind has taken over our Earth. I was Nighthawk, who's basically Bruce Wayne, was president. He got taken over. The heroes basically created a totalitarian government. The Defenders came over. This is the powerhouse Avengers with like Namor,
Yeah.
the Hulk, Doctor Strange, like the badass Defenders that like actually they're not the jokes. They like came over and they just cleaned house. So their Earth is wrecked. Like just destroyed everything. It's riots in the streets.
Yes, we start this thing with already. That's what I wanted to ask, because we start this, and I feel like I started to reading a story that was like right after something big happened. You know, the book is good about helping you filling in those blanks, which
but
I
almost
love.
too much.
But a little bit too much. I like that they it's not spoon-fed, like right from the beginning. Like it makes you have to think about what happens in between those panels, although it gives you the thing that you need to fill in those gaps, sometimes a little bit too much. It still doesn't, it lets you use your imagination. It forces you a little bit to just before you get the exposition, before you get the information that you need to fill in those blanks, you have to, like, okay, so something happened. Obviously, this is starting right after something big happened, because all their costumes are all tattered up, and they're like, oh, they're just flying around trying to see what the damage is, and it's just chaos everywhere, and people are hungry and dying, and the world is a mess. And then you learn that it was partially their own doing. Granted, they were mind controlled by this other dude, but they were sort of responsible, and now they're trying to, like, what are we going
Rebuild.
to do to rebuild? We have a responsibility to rebuild. I like that they use a big great power, great responsibility line.
Yeah.
And
there's something I do like, that they start the first page with action before you get into, because I'll show it. Like, you start immediately
that first page. Yes, immediately.
I have one gripe about this book, and it's kind of major. I can't stand that it has 5 different artists.
Yeah, that was but for the most part,
most of it was Bob Hall, but there's like a couple where the art's just a little off.
Yeah. There's those moments. Yeah, that first page, legit, that first page got me. I saw that first page, like, oh shoot. Now, I am going to be honest about it. Oh, it doesn't let me. Okay, I see how this works. Okay, fine. There it is.
What?
No, I was trying to see. Yeah, if you want to show the page so that it's there you go. So this page, I saw this page and I was like, oh my god, this is going to be so much fun. And it was a fun book to read, don't get me wrong. But this page gave me a little bit of a false expectation of what I was going to expect on the rest of the book. I thought I was coming into a Justice League superhero type of book, Avengers type of book. A group of heroes are going to face a menace. It's a really cool book from way back when. We're going to talk about some issues in here. There's going to be a lot of, but I'm going to see a lot of bow, wham, and it's completely the opposite.
This is very much a character deconstruction and how you deal with basically becoming the rulers of society. You've decided you're gonna rebuild society. Here's another thing that really bothers me. There are some great costume designs early on in the book, in particular Dr. Spectrum, who's their Green Lantern, where he has the full mask on.
Yeah.
I love the Wizard when he's wearing the blue and yellow costume with the little half moons around the eyes. I love. And then they decide to unmask and I start getting the.
I thought that was so things that I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting the book to be that dark. You know, at certain points it gets in at least in my opinion, it's like, man,
It's
that
very
was
dark.
rough. That was rough, especially being a book so colorful, because it's a really colorful book. Because when you start reading like a book like Watchmen, you can sort of that color palette. You can sort of it informs you
It
the
has
tone of the book.
a mood palette.
It sort of informs the mood of the book. And you can have an idea of what you're reading. But this book, it starts very colorful, very heroic. Oh shit, I don't know if I can hold this satellite that it's crashing into Earth, but it's my responsibility, and it was a satellite, so I have to do whatever I can, even though I'm not strong enough for it. It starts very, very, heroic, and then it just sort of like after those first 3 pages, it just goes, takes a left turn, and it never stops. It doesn't stop until issue 12.
So this particular, the trade after Gruenwald died, they took his ashes from when he was cremated and put them in the ink.
What?
Yes.
This is wild.
So Mark Gruenwald, this to him was his finest work he ever did. That's the work he was proudest of. I knew him mostly from being the Captain America writer. He wrote Captain America for like damn near 10 years. Most of the Captain America books I read in the 80s were written by him. Like right up to Cap Wolf.
Yeah.
So this is where the weird tea comes into. So in the History of the Marvel Universe book, written by Sean, I can't remember his name. He claims in that book that Rob Liefeld's Captain America had come out and Mark Gruenwald was reading it and had a heart attack reading it because of how bad it was. That's written in this book. To say that Rob got a little litigious about it would be an understatement. But that is a claim in that book, is that Rob Liefeld's Captain America killed Mark Gruenwald.
Stop it. Stop it.
You can Google it. You can fucking Google it. Like, it is a thing.
Sorry, I didn't mean. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh that. It's just that
it's fucking insane. It really is fucking insane.
That's wild. Holy shit, that's wild. Oh my god, that's what.
And to say that Liefeld's pissed about it would be.
Like, I mean, I would be mad too. I would be mad too.
Yeah. So, but Mark Gruenwald loved these characters. So after he passed, his widow had part of his ashes mixed into the ink for the printing press when it reprinted this.
Wow. That's
part
wild.
of the book. Another character design they got rid of early that bothers me.
I know. I mean, I knew that something with their blood. I mean, to the ink, which what was that?
Oh, you kind of started slowing down a little bit. You're like, it went to that.
Yeah. I'm having some issues with the connection. Let me see what I can do here.
It's fine now. It just seemed like it got a little indifferent.
Yeah.
One of the characters, Power Princess.
No, I think I know what it is.
Early on, they got rid of her look, and her look had this cool red helmet she wore that I loved. And then they unmasked, and a lot of the cool costumes went right out the window again.
Yeah, everything changed when they unmasked.
Yeah. I can bitch to no end about the costume choices because there's really some that I thought weren't good ideas. To say the least, like, it starts getting dark real early because they have a meeting and they're talking about everything they've experienced while they've been going through all the cities, civil unrest. They talk about the basically downfall of society. And Nighthawk's talking about how basically he's the blame. And Power Princess, their Wonder Woman's like, you know what? Back when I lived in Utopia Island, they all fled from man's world because of the atom bomb. But we believed in utopia and like let's just start a whole new society, this utopian society. And they all vote on it. And Nighthawk's just like, no, like this is a bad idea. He's like, you know me a long time. I'm one of the Squadron's founders. He's like, in my own way, on my own scale, I fought long and hard to make the world a better place too. But solving all the world's problems and handing it to them on a silver platter seems wrong to me. How meaningful will utopia be if it is a gift and not something man has earned? And he's like, the people will not accept the utopia you give them. Will you force them to take it? And they vote on it. He's like, screw you guys, I'm out of here. And they all go their own ways and go to their families and tell them, hey, by the way, we're going to unmask live. And basically our normal lives, over. And one of the sweeter yet scary things is Power Princess goes back to her house. Basically, her husband, who is their version of Steve Trevor, is 77. He's an old man, but she stayed with him. So I thought that was kind of sweet in a very weird way.
That was I don't know.
Oh, there goes the connection
that
again.
would do, that I think that's something that, given the chance, Diana would have done too, like Wonder Woman, which obviously this is so I don't know. I feel like that's something that Wonder Woman would have done. What I was going to mention earlier is that I like that almost not immediately, but
man, your audio keeps stuttering.
Very early on, we don't get along like. Shit. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Let me try something here real quick.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is that I'm going to stop the camera so that maybe that'll, and just focus on the drawing. You don't have to see my face for a while.
I don't know if it's happening before we open the other camera or not. That's the weird part.
No. I think I needed to I needed to update my my laptop. I didn't. But I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to turn the camera off for a little bit, and while we're showing the drawing, that way it hopefully it won't interfere. So
it's still doing it.
Yeah.
I think it's the audio, but the character Nuke.
I'm gonna do something different.
Is one of the darkest characters, and he's basically supposed to be Firestorm.
Firestorm.
He goes and visits his parents, and they're both in the hospital, and they're like, "Yeah, we got cancer," and they're like, "Huh? How'd that happen?" So there's a character, Tom Thumb, who's basically a dwarf, but he's one of the smartest people in the world. And they treat him like garbage.
They treat him like shit, dude. Like, for real.
And they emotionally manipulate him because they'll start acting cool to him, and it's always then they want something. Where he's like, oh my God, they're talking to me. How great. And then Nighthawk, their Batman, ends up going back to his mansion. He uses his hidden little route in. And Hyperion knocks on his window like Superman going to see Lois Lane. And he's like, hey, so we're gonna go do this thing, and you think about joining us up. And he's like, yeah, nah, I think I'm good. I don't want any part of that. So yeah, you can be part of my press conference. Goes down to his little hidey hole, and he has his version of kryptonite. I forget what I think it's called, like argonite. And he decides to fashion a bullet. He, at his presidential address to step down, is gonna basically try and kill Hyperion. And they show him cut the bullet, as we do. And Gambit has gone away. He's probably rebooting because his audio and internet went down. But as the presidential address is going on, Nighthawk has a gun out, and he's got his blicky. He's thinking about it, and he can't do it. He's just too noble of a guy. Batman would never kill anybody. Also, funny thing about Nighthawk, in the Squadron Supreme universe, he finds out his dad was actually a criminal and basically inventing and investing in stuff that made the world a worse place. So he became a crime fighter to go against people that were like his dad, because it wasn't because his parents died or were shot on the streets, because that's a Batman thing. And this is not Batman. I want to make sure everybody knows it. He is not Batman. But the squadron decides, hey, we're going to get everybody's trust. So here we are. We just went and told everybody that we are who we are. We're unmasked. We're here. We're here to help you. We're basically going to fix the world. And as they're fixing the world, as we talked about, they treat Tom Thumb like shit. And Tom's out there. All of them are talking. They don't even hand him the microphone to talk. They just pass him right by, and he realizes, like, oh, these assholes treat me like shit again. Okay, I see how it is. And we see a little bit of Dr. Spectrum. Dr. Spectrum's, kind of a cool character. He's Green Lantern, basically. He's another one. He was an astronaut, but instead of like running into a random alien, he ran into that Earth's version of a Skrull, and the Skrull gave him the power prism. So it wasn't Ab and Sur, because that happens in Green Lantern. This is a Skrull. Totally different things. Totally different.
Hello.
Okay. Hey.
I guess we are using a different setup. So sorry about the angle. Sorry about I won't be able to finish the drawing because I'm using the iPad for this. I don't know what happened with my laptop.
It is what it is.
It just died, so sorry about
those
that.
Updates.
It's just fucking updates. Let me change this a little bit. Oh, I do not like this camera. Sorry, guys. There you go.
You got that fisheye lens.
Let me fix my my background for a little bit. I don't want you to see my kitchen.
So the character Nuke, he goes to see his parents again, and they're even worse than before. He's like, oh, how are you? And they're like, we can't go pretending. And yeah, Albert, your father and I don't have very long. He's like, Ma, you never told me. He's like, yeah, it's killing us. The doctors claim it's radiation poisoning.
Oh my God, immediately. That's the first issue. That's like page what, 10?
Page 2. No, not page 2. Issue 2, page like 3.
Oh yeah, no, right. Yeah,
this is his second visit to the hospital, where they're even more desiccated.
Oh my God, it's cute.
And it's weird because, like, again, this thing gets real dark, and then the first part of like emotional manipulation, because Nuke's like, hey, Tom. And Tom's like, oh, you want to talk to me? Great. He's like, can you check my energy levels? Like, yeah, I could do that. And they're like, yeah, you're outputting 48 megarads compared to the 32 megarads a year ago. It increased by 52%. And they're like, well, if you're around people a lot, then probably they could get radiation poisoning. But if you're not, and he's like, well, I live with my parents. And he asks Tom to find a cure for cancer.
And Tom can't say no that easy.
He's literally like, he's got this look of like, oh my God. And they're like, he's like, he can't be serious. But he is. I can't promise. And he's like, I'll try. It's like, oh, thank you. And he took the I'll try as I'm doing it.
Yeah. Like he's going to, like, this is happening.
And the computer is sentient. He's like, what have I done? He's like, well, you've promised to do something no man has done before. Something some say is impossible. So he's like staying up all night and doing all this stuff. And it's crazy. And Nuke is kind of mentally becoming unstable. And you kind of see his downfall. Like he makes this big nuclear cyclone, and Lady Lark, their version of Black Canary, has to like sonically knock him out. And they're doing the meeting. He's like, oh boy, I hope this guy doesn't rat me out for kind of going wild. Tom Thumb's like, hey, I made a nuclear radiation suit that'll keep it from leaking out, but like you got to keep it on when you're around people. And Nuke's like, well, you are going to cure cancer, right? He's like, yeah, I want to do this first. And Tom starts testing himself and finds out, oh shit, I have cancer. Well, now I doubly have to cure cancer.
You know that I don't know. So they never said that it was Nuke's fault. You know that he also got
they
cancer.
don't for that, but his parents definitely.
But for his parents, yeah, most definitely. And it was like so fast, immediately. You know, it's like, okay, so they have cancer. It's obviously him. And then a few pages later, they say, yeah, it's radiation poisoning. Yeah, definitely it's him. You know.
Yeah. So Tom uses a time device. He goes to the future with the Scarlet Centurion and tries to make a deal to get the cure for cancer because they don't have cancer in the 40th century or whatever. He's like, all right, if you poison Hyperion, he's like, well, I have morals. I can't do that. Comes back and he basically tells Nuke I couldn't do it. And he starts yelling at him. He's like, you mishappen, little creep. You lied to me. I count on you and you failed me. He's like, my parents die. It'll be your fault, not mine. When they do, I'm going to make you pay for it. And then he sits there and he says, well, I mean, I'm dying of cancer too.
He's like, well, tough luck because I'm going to be dead anyway.
Basically, yeah. He's like, well, I'm dead too. So like, it's not like I'm not trying. And this is kind of like a lot happens and a lot doesn't happen.
Yes, it's what I tell you. For a book, this book it's a massive book. It's 300 and something pages, right? And nothing happens, but a lot of shit happens.
It's a lot about it's interpersonal. It's a lot of like decisions, regret, and not a whole ton of action. There is action, but
it's very minimal.
They kind of make it like a chore that and you get through a lot. Like the heroes deciding to make this utopian society. They gave themselves a year to get it all right. So they're kind of on a clock, but at the same time, they're like, we're understaffed. We're trying to do all this stuff. Like they don't sleep.
They had good intentions, but from the beginning, you can tell that, you know, this doesn't sound like a good idea, my dude. You know, I get that you guys have the best intentions for doing this, but I don't think this is gonna go the way you think it's gonna go.
And issue 3 is the darkest issue of this entire series, or one of the darkest, because by this point, you know, like Dr. Spectrum, they're Green Lantern, but not Green Lantern. He is kind of the jokester of them, and he pulls a prank and find out Nuke's missed 28 meetings at this point. His parents have died.
Damn.
And
that's right. Yeah.
Power Princess is like, you go find them because you guys are drinking buddies, blah, blah, blah. So he goes to where Nuke's house would have been. They're like, oh, or he goes to the hospital. They're like, they died. He goes to Nuke's house.
But let's not skip the detail that the reason she throws in his name to go find him. It's because he was an asshole
Cut
to
her
her
top off.
before.
Yeah, he's the jokester.
He as a joke he cuts the top of her suit in
During
front
a
of the
commercial.
cameras. Yeah, in front of the camera when they were filming that propaganda video, you know. So it's not that she throwing her name there just to throw in her name. She just wanted to like, oh, you did this to me, so now you're gonna be stuck doing something that you really don't want to do. Because one of the things that I noticed is that these people don't necessarily get along.
They do and they don't.
Yes, they're not like
they're acquaintances.
Yeah, they're just acquaintances. You just happen to work together, you know. So he's not too thrilled to having to go looking for Nuke.
He calls him a little jerk during it repeatedly. But he goes to where his Nuke's little brother is being taken care of now, and the little brother's a fanboy, doesn't know his brother is Nuke. He's like, "Wow, Dr. Spectrum, what are you doing? I got 2 of your figures." So he's like, "Well, I haven't seen him in a while. Al's been over here." So they go to the graveyard, and he's sitting in front of his parents' gravestones. And he freaks out. And he basically is like, "I don't want your pity, Spectrum, not from any of you. It's all you guys' fault that it happened." He's like, "What do you mean?" "I mean, Tom Thumb, he said he had the ability to save my parents, and he refused, that little stinking dwarf. You tell that waddling pile of ape hair I'm coming for him, and I'm going to pay him back in spades for what he did. Now take Scotty and get out of my face." And then he like blows up part of the graveyard. And he goes, "You know what? Fuck it. I'm going back to the squadron headquarters. I'm killing everybody." The Spectrum's like, "Holy shit, he's hauling ass." So he catches up to him and he puts him in a bubble, and he's just wailing away, firing away in this bubble. And like Spectrum's really struggling to keep this bubble on him. And basically it got thicker and thicker, and Nuke just kept firing away. He burned all the oxygen in the bubble and suffocated himself.
I was not expecting that.
Not this early.
I was not expecting that, especially that early. Yes.
And what they do properly is immediately the guilt and grief that hits Spectrum. And he's like, "I can leave him here. I can hide the body." He's like, "No, I got to own up to it." Yep, and they do one of those scream moments where...
No.
Yeah, you again, I kind of, at some point, I don't love the art in this, but there's emotional moments that they hit that I love. And that was one of them. And one of the moments, and this is where, you know, Power Princess is about peace. He cops to it. He's like, "I killed him," and she hugs him.
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice.
And he goes and sees the little brother, and he's carrying a Nuke figure, and he cops to his... He goes, "Listen, your brother was a good guy. He did some good things." And he's like, "Someday you'll find in yourself to forgive me for the bad thing I've done to your brother." And he's like, "It's all right. He wasn't right at the moment. We could tell there was something off."
I like that the kid, you know, the kid got it immediately. You know, the kid got it immediately. That's not my, you know, he's not behaving like my brother. I feel like this dude took it. I mean, I can't say that he took it too hard, like, but I feel like he punishes himself a little bit too much. Like, he blames himself too much for what happened. Although eventually he, you know, he recognizes that it wasn't his fault that happened. You know, it was Nuke's own, you know, rage and just burning incessantly and not thinking about what he was doing inside that bubble that at the end, you know,
I kind of thought he thought more of what people would think of him. Somewhat, because he immediately was like, "They're going to think I'm a villain now. Like, I didn't want to do this."
which is, when you're a hero, you don't think much about those things. It's
No.
supposed to be more about, like, that's one of the things I like about these flawed characters, is that, yeah, he's a hero, but he for a second there, he hesitated. He was like, should I hide the body? Like, what am I going to do about this? But then he comes to his senses, and that happens quite a few times in the book. That they're like, I
I
don't know
think
if I
anybody
should
would
do
think
this.
about it like, just like, shit, I just killed a man. Like, what am I gonna do? The squadron has gone to all these gun factories. They basically like went and got almost every gun in the world.
Yeah, it reminds me of that of Superman's quest for peace. When they go
All
and
the
they round
nuclear
up
bombs.
all of the nuclear bombs around the world, and then he throws them into the sun.
And at this point, he's off active duty. They took him off active duty Spectrum, and he's just basically smelting guns. He goes to Nuke's grave and puts flowers down for him and his parents, which is sweet. They do a little bit of his origin, and then the Golden Archer is like, I'm gonna marry Lady Lark. They're Black Canary. And it's another one of those things where he kind of gets rejected, and he goes over to Tom Thumb. He's like, how's this behavior modifier work?
Oh, yeah, because the Tom has had made this behavior modifying
Brainwashing device.
Yeah, brainwashing device. Let's call it what it is. It's a brainwashing device. They let me tell you something. He did a good job about writing this thing to make you feel like, it doesn't sound that bad. It makes they seem to be really happy about this situation, and they know what happened. It's not like they don't know that this happened to them. Later on, you start to see things, that they things that could have been avoided, that it just doesn't happen because they're literally brainwashing to not being able to do anything about certain things if it involves the Squadron Supreme. But yeah, I like that from the beginning you're like, I don't know about this thing, but
it becomes morally gray.
Yeah, yeah, very.
Also, Amphibian, how he's like, I am not okay with any of this shit.
Yes. Oh my God! Immediately, he's like, wait! This is not what I signed up for. Like from the beginning, he wasn't part of it, but he stayed though. He stayed.
Yeah, and they voted for it once again. Then, Golden Archer's like, you know what, Lady Lark, I'm going to give you a little bit of sleep, and I'm going to put you in that device. And then she becomes like the love spell crazy, where she can't be not around him for 5 minutes, or she starts having anxiety breakdowns.
This shit made me uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
This shit made me uncomfortable. It legit made me more uncomfortable than when Dr. Light did the thing that he did in Identity Crisis. Like, because from he's a villain. All Metzler did with that.
Hero.
That villain was in Identity Crisis.
Yeah.
All he did was write a villain more villainous. Evil, bad. But this dude is supposed to be one of the good guys. And this is his teammate. And he just goes and gives her some drug while she's sleeping so that she doesn't wake up, and then goes and puts her in this brainwashing.
It's rape. Let's put it. It's rape.
Yeah, it is. It is addressed as that later on. It is addressed as that later on. But that shit was, and I'm not surprised, because at this point, we've been over this. At that time, a lot of books came out that were more adult, not adult oriented, but more mature in the themes and what was happening, what was being published. So it doesn't surprise me that this got published. But so this is the first time that I read this book. This is new. This book specifically is new to me. I wasn't expecting to read another book where where we will be addressing these themes in the mid-'80s.
This was a very heady book for that time. Like, And reading this as a 9-year-old at the time, now like as an adult reading it, I was like, there's a lot of this shit that I could literally today like talk about in here, like that's going on currently.
Like I was reading, I was like, man, this is pretty heavy for a book that came out in the 80s. Like if I would have read this back when I was a kid, I would have not enjoyed this that much. You know, I would be like very uncomfortable about it. And as an adult, I was like, I don't like this at all.
But this is a book that like no one talks about.
So the first time I heard about this book was during an article on the Wizard magazine about list of books that you needed to read, you know, shit like that. I don't remember what the list was. It was an article about some books, and this book was in it. I was like, and at the time I was like, I don't feel like I want to. It wasn't the idea wasn't appealing to me. Again, back then I had not read half of the stuff that I've read now, because I never had access to it until very later on. But I don't think that I would definitely I think I would definitely not have enjoyed this book back then. And I feel like the type of book that it is, it should be talked about more often, you know, like it should be scrutinized the same way books like Watchmen have been scrutinized in terms of the themes that are played in this book, because it's 12 issues, but each 12 issues is like 40 pages a book or something. That.
Every one of them was double size, and for 1986, $1.25 an issue was crazy.
Yes, but when you think about having a book that was 40 something pages, that was worth $1. Not this would be a $10 book right now.
Probably, yeah.
Like each issue would be a $10 issue easy, because we're close to that right now. We are very close to that.
Yeah, I know. So we're introduced to these villains. They're the Institute of Evil, and they're all like post-punk looking. There's a guy Quagmire, Foxfire, the guy Shape, who's kind of a blob. I kind of think he's like Plastic Man if he was bald and fat
and dumb.
Yes. There's Ape X, which looks like that one that's in the Teen Titans with Monsieur Mallah.
So I think that Ape X is like a combination of all of the same, you know, ape characters.
Dr. Decibel, but there's a character in here. I love the costume design, and they look like they'd be a new metal guitarist in the late 90s, early 2000s. The character Lamprey, who is an energy vampire.
Oh, yes.
It's got the two ponytails, and has this weird like eel costume, can fly. But I like looked at the hair, I was like, oh, he could be playing bass for Korn. And that's the random things that go through my head as I read.
I did like that design. One of the things that I like about this book is that, you know, you are thrown in the middle of this world that is right now in chaos. You are introduced very rapidly to these characters. I think it's assuming that you understand who these characters are immediately. You understand the tropes of these characters immediately, which is right. You know, you see this character immediately. You know, this is the Superman type. This is the Batman type. This is Green Arrow. This is Green Lantern. This is Black Canary. This is Wonder Woman. So you already have an idea of what type of characters they are. So you don't necessarily need too much to introduction for these characters, and the way they were introduced, like each chapter you get a little bit of each one of their origins, which again surprised me a lot. I wasn't expecting to hear a mention of the Kree or the Skrull either, you know.
Yes.
Those were two things I was like, okay, wait, so when is this happening? Where is this happening? Then they explain later that it's just that's the Kree and the Skrull from this version, from this world, from this universe.
And then something that kind of gets glossed over initially is the Institute tries to use the behavior modification machines on the Squadron to make them part of them. We find out that they don't work on them.
It doesn't work on them. Which,
And
oh, again, it's addressed later because
yes,
when they revealed that they tried to use the machine on them and it didn't work, because at this point, the villains invade their lair and they basically trap everyone in like 3 pages. Like it's like, oh my god, are these people already losing control of their mind already? This is like issue 3. How is this? How is this? How is this happening to them again? But eventually you learn that this doesn't work on them. I was like, wait a minute, it doesn't work on them. How it work on what's her name again? Lady Lark?
yeah.
Yes, it worked on Lady Lark. Why doesn't it work on them? What is happening here? But we get that answer later.
And then as the next issue starts, Amphibian in Shape has been now behavior modified, and they're making a lake in their new Squadron City. And he starts going, do you feel different now? Like you're missing memories? Like Shape's always been this way, Phoebe. He's like, but do you like what you do? He's like, yeah, Shape's got friends now. And he's getting mad. He's like, what's the use? I'm the only squadroner who believes the behavior modification process is wrong. And then he starts bitching. He's like, I'm 2 hours away from water now, like to the ocean. And Hyperion's like, oh, sorry, Kingsley, you're out voted on the matter. He's like, yeah, it's been happening a lot lately. And he punches the water hose and puts his fist into it, blocking it.
Aquaman's butter that is being ignored,
Basically, yeah. And the Blue Eagles, who's basically Hawkman, I guess, he's pissed off that Lady Lark's ignoring him because they almost had a thing going. And we meet their version of, I guess, Lex Luthor, Master Menace.
You think it's Lex Luthor? I thought it was I thought it was a Doctor Doom character.
But it's kind of like DC character, or it's a mixture of both. It's kind of weird because he's Hyperion's enemy, who's Superman. That's kind of where I was.
Yeah. It's Lex Luthor in an armor. Yeah, you're right.
And then we find out that like Master Menace has been visited by 3 villains who are like, we need to get the fuck off this world, like now. The Mink.
They're like, dude, this is not gonna end well. We need to check out.
The Mink, who's basically Catwoman. Remnant, who can take fabric and basically use it as weapons or to fly on. And a guy Pinball, who has an inflatable rubber suit, who can basically turn into a big rubber ball. And they're just like, hey, we got to get the fuck out of here. Master Menace is like, whatever, here. I'm going to send you to another world. Don't fucking call me again. And they're trying to get every prison to shut down.
Yes.
At this point. And one guy's like, nah, I'm good. Like, we're staying open. We're not doing. They're like, well, we can't force them. They're like, well.
I mean, I like that. They're like, well, not me.
And then Blue Eagle comes out. He's like, hey, anybody notice that Lady Lark's been acting weird? Also, by the way, did you notice that why is it that the behavior modification device didn't work on us when what would make what would make someone do that? And Tom Thumb's like, yeah, so what he's saying is true. I did discover that it had been used on Lark. I can't tell you for a fact that it was Archer who used it, though. Why did he never mention? He's like, I don't want to betray anyone, even if they. He's like, hey, you're not on trial, little buddy. I'm just
right. Like, excuse me,
So Golden Archer comes out. Is like, yeah. He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, you know what? I'm guilty. I'm sorry. I love Linda. I asked her to marry me. She said no, and having her love me was more important to me than anything in the world. Now I see that it cost me my pride, my self-respect, and probably he's like, Linda, everybody, I'm sorry. And basically they kicked him out. Lady Lark quits.
Yeah, because she's obsessed with him because of the brainwashing.
Dr. Spectrum wants to punch Blue Eagle. And Wizard's like, whoa, he swore off violence, Joe. And he's like, well, maybe I should swear it back on. Again, these guys don't really like each other. Most of them hate Blue Eagle. And Amphibian's like, you know what? Fuck all this shit. He destroys every behavior modification device, takes one of their jets, flies into the ocean, swims off. He's like, fuck the world.
Fuck all y'all.
It was the most not Aquaman thing to ever do.
So this character reminds me a little bit of
Submariner a little bit.
From no, the Deep from
Oh.
the Lost Boys, from the Lost Boys, from the Voice.
The boys, a little bit, yeah. But he's also kind of like Submariner, where he's always like, "Oh,
Yeah.
fuck
So
you."
no, well, okay. So let me clarify. It reminds me the way he's being treated. It reminds me of Deep from the Boys. The way he's being treated, because he's been treated. He's like, yeah, okay, you're the guy. You're the guy from the water, and the other one is the tiny one. You know, they're real dicks. You know, these characters are a bunch of assholes.
They are, like, there's definitely a tier to how they treat each other, where you have the three superpowers that are kind of treated one way, and then it's like, well, you're not really in our tier here, so we're gonna ignore you. And then the last panel of this is Nighthawk sitting on the branch of a tree, which I really like. It's very Batman.
Yeah, this is what, issue 4?
5, I think.
Issue 5. So between issue 1, when was the last time we saw him? Issue 2, right? Or was
Issue
it
2.
Issue 1? Issue 2?
Issue 2 for like a minute. This is issue 6, sorry. That was the last page.
So issue 6, right? So like for almost 4 issues, we don't hear about it. Like at some point I forgot about him. I was like, what? Right around this issue, actually, I was like, man, I wonder when they're going to bring him back in, you know? And sure as shit.
Issue 7 starts out great because the 3 people who went to the other world are now magically back, and Nighthawk's with them. And he busts into Master Menace's place. He's like, God damn it. I told you motherfuckers to leave me the hell alone. And they're presenting a team up. He's like, nah, like, no.
Nah, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good, fam.
he basically does a don't call me, I'll call you. And then turns back to his thing, and he's got this like fishing hook he's throwing into a dimensional portal. And he pulls out another Hyperion, which was from the Squadron Sinister, who's been floating around in space. And he was in love with Thundra on Earth 616, went into a portal after her, was a little late, and got basically vanished to a void. And they do a trick with a meteorite. They send the other Hyperion into that veil, and the evil one comes out. And right away, he's like, oh, I lost my memory. Oh, no. Like, not since, like, Gilligan's Island has that worked. And right away, he goes, who is this babe? I have got to get in
right,
them drawers.
Right. He was obsessed with Tundra until he saw the princess, and then was like, well.
And then does the creepiest thing where he flies up to the window of her house and goes, who's that old man? Is that her dad?
Dude,
And then he
I'm
finds out
telling
from
you,
Dr.
man.
Decibel it's her husband. And then, like, later on, he's like, oh, what's a guy supposed to do? He gets to sleep in this goddamn place. And she's walking in with her husband. They're basically, like, trying to bring him back to life. He's dead of a heart attack.
Of a heart attack. Yeah. Which I legit thought it was a heart attack. I didn't.
And he's like, hey, let me give you a hug. Let me walk you home.
Oh, my God. Super. Oh, Jesus.
And he's like,
another thing that made me really uncomfortable.
And he's like,
you know what he's doing immediately. You know what he's doing.
He's emotional friend. He's like, I got to make a decision. Thundra or Zarda? And I'm going to have to fuck something up if I got to go with Zarda. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to go take a flight. He shows up to Master Menace. He's like, oh, man, you couldn't call me? I like Master Menace is always like, why does everybody keep showing up on my goddamn pad?
Just showing up. You just don't hear. Have you ever heard of a phone call?
Like,
you know,
he's like, and I love that he's annoyed by the pop-in. He's just like, what? You could just send a message? Like, goddamn. And then he's like, deal's off. He's like, oh shit. And he's got a force field. He's like, this motherfucker's actually trying to kill me. Shit, I feel this.
Yep.
So he manages to run off and do another portal. And the other Hyperion's like, oh, either exploded him or he blinked out. I don't know.
I don't care.
Fuck it. I got a funeral to go to. And like they don't say how much time's passed, but it goes to a panel of him making out with her on the beach, and I'm like, God damn.
Yeah. So it goes through these beats really fast, though. It goes.
But again, this is where we talk about nothing happens,
and a lot.
But then a lot happens, and a lot of time
yeah.
jumps.
So I was expecting this book, like I said earlier, I was expecting this book to be like, pow, wham, you know.
The thing I do love, though, is it's 12 issues, and they had 12 months to fix the world, to present to the world.
That's
so
right. Yeah.
I did like the symmetry of that.
Yes. I didn't think about that. That's really cool. Yeah. Holy shit. Huh.
We also find out that Blue Eagle's a dick to every one of the people who got behavior modified. Like he punches Quagmire, which I can't think of that name without thinking of the other Quagmire from
Dude, it's horrible.
The punk who makes like black muck, basically. And he's being a dick to him, and he goes out for a flight, comes back, and they're like, hey, Quagmire's in a coma, like a gas explosion happened. He saved 30 people. He's like, oh, oof. Oof. There I was out on a joyride, and
now this dude, another teammate is dead under someone's
coma.
watch.
He's in a coma.
Well, yeah, he's in.
And then we find out Arcana's been pregnant this whole time. She has like illusion magic, and she's like got a giant pregnant belly. And like they cut to another panel, like they're flying. It's Lamprey, Dr. Spectrum, and Hyperion, which Dr. Spectrum's very approving of everybody. He's cool with like whatever. That's another thing. But Hyperion like speeds off. And he's like, man, the guy knows how to leave us the vapor trail. Dr. Spectrum, I think that's fast. How about how fast he moved in on Power Princess? And I was like, I'm glad they're calling this shit out, though. And he goes, I almost swear he's a changed man. And Lamprey's like, you and me both. He's like, as an energy siphoner, I'm pretty sensitive to that stuff. And I'd almost swear his energy's different.
Yeah.
But he can't say anything because...
But he can't say anything. This is when you start to see that the brainwashing thing, it's exactly that, brainwashing.
Yeah.
You know, it's not... Because now these characters...
They can't speak out against unless you word stuff in a weird way, which we see later. And, like, it almost goes to, like, straight fucking on the panel. Like, he's just like, let's do it, and I'm going to put you in the... I'm going to take a shower, and then we can go to dinner.
Yeah, yep.
And the other Hyperion's like looking through this veil, and he's getting more and more pissed off. And then he's flying around. He sees Master Menace.
Right. And Master Menace is like, fuck, he saw me.
He's like, fancy meeting you here. And he's like, I ought to fucking punch your goddamn head off. And he goes, well, then we'll both be stuck. So what do you want to do? And he's like, I need a power source. He's like, well, what kind of power source? Hey, you want my atomic vision, don't you? He's like, well, I mean, yeah. And he's like, all right. He goes, if I do this, though, you are to leave me the fuck alone. You can't come after me. You're a hero. In exchange for my help, I want you to swear when we return to Earth, you nor any of your squadron members will use your behavior modification device on me or abridge my freedom in any way. He's like, well, I can't promise that. Well, I can't promise you a way back to Earth, can I? And
damn it.
He's like, all right, Menace, I'll agree to your deal if you swear to do nothing to interfere with the squadron or its utopia. He's like, you have my word as a criminal. Ha ha ha. And he tried to yeet on him before he could get a hold of him. He managed to fly and catch hold of him beforehand. He's like, all right, well, I don't want to interfere with your freedom. And he let him drop to the fucking ground. It's that Batman.
Okay, bye.
I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you. And one of the most action-packed fucking fights happens where Hyperion against other Hyperion.
Oh, yes,
and
yes. Finally.
Power Princess like, huh? What? And
this dude, he comes in and he's not holding any punches. He comes in like, hey, he's not I'm not playing around.
Well, the funny thing is that Hyperion's like, I've never fought anybody who cut loose on me like this, so like I don't know how to handle this because I'm usually the one who has to hold back. Like they smash into the president's mountain, he gets bashed with a fucking nose, and he's taking a physical beating. But they have a battle of eye beams, or what they call atomic vision.
Atomic vision, yeah. Not laser vision.
Heat vision, nothing. But it's cool because the back feed of it was creating this giant fireball, and real Hyperion, I guess, is atomic vision stronger. And I think this is a very cool panel for page because it shows the fireball going back to his goddamn eyes for the fake one.
Yep.
And literally it blows his eye vessels out. And the other Hyperion's just knocking the shit out of him. Like, he's just pummeling him to death. He's gone blind now. So it ruined his vision, but he just had his eyeballs didn't explode like the other one.
Yeah. He just got.
And Dr. Spectrum's trying to like catch his fists with the things. He's like, Jesus Christ, please God stop, because I can't hold you. And Power Princess is like, I said stop. He's like, huh? What? Zarda, is that you? And like the other one got beat so bad he liquefied. But he's like, and the other Hyperion's like, Zarda, that thing, he killed your husband. It's not really human. He's like, Zarda, that you? I'm sorry for all the trouble I caused. It's true. I did kill your Howard. I'd have done anything for you to keep your love.
And he dies.
Yes. They try to fix his vision. They have to give him radar glasses. And she's like, I was freaked out because the other Hyperion never treated me like that, but I think I've had these emotions for Hyperion for this long. And she's kind of going in, the character Foxfire is watching her history, and then she's like, hey, Dr. Spectrum, I think we should fuck. And Blue Eagle's done kind of dealing with how he was a dick to Quagmire. And we find out the Apex is in love with Tom Thumb.
Ah, that's right, yes.
And the
I forgot AI
rats on him and tells Apex that he's dying of cancer.
And he goes on this quest to try to steal the cancer medicine again from the future. And he succeeds on this time around.
And we find out also he knows how to get around the behavior modification, because stealing you can't do with the behavior modification. He said we were recovering something stolen from them. And Nighthawk's there with Remnant, and they go down and basically find this giant human that's basically wearing some shorts that they keep shadowing. But Lamprey goes in the future with him.
Yes.
And then Zarda makes out with Hyperion while he's blind, which is weird. We meet this giant human called Redstone. That this Sorcerer Supreme's little thing led them to. That's going to be part of Nighthawk's team of liberators. Scarlet Centurion's just like, yeah, that's good that he stole it. I ain't gonna do shit for him. And they go back and analyze it and realize it's just vitamins and penicillin.
Yep, that is useless to us.
But he returns it. And then there's just a blurb that says 1 week later, while working in his lab on another project to better the human condition, Tom Thompson, also known as Tom Thumb, passed away.
Another one died. Another one bites the dust.
And the next issue starts with this. Oh, yeah. The next issue starts with a funeral and talks about Tom Thumb's history. And then they've eliminated hunger. The economy is better by 90%. Crime's 85%. War 100%. Poverty, jobs 85%. Environment, disease, they're failing at 50% for their Utopia program. And we see a bunch of new members.
All of a sudden we have a bunch of new members, but it was talked about previously that they were in need of manpower.
So Nighthawk's team, he's got Inertia, who they just introduced, Haywire, this guy Thermite, Moonstone, Redstone.
I think the funniest one is Haywire, the one that just his powers is just a bunch of scribbly lines.
Yes. Must have been fun for the artist. And like
so
Dr.
what does his
Spectrum
powers
flying...
do? Just draw a bunch of squiggly lines like this. That's it. That's perfect.
Dr. Spectrum's flying around and has Foxfire in a fucking bed that he created. I was like, all right, dude, like...
Yeah, right. Stop it.
But her powers are kind of awesome because her powers are to rot.
Yeah.
So a building's gonna come down and she just fucking rots the whole interior and it falls while he scoops it all up. But we find Quagmire, he's in a coma, and whatever it is in his brain that activates his power is apparently triggered, so he's flooding the whole hospital with the interdimensional muck.
Oh, that's right. That the tar, the interdimensional tar thing that he...
Yeah, nah. There's a thing between Blue Eagle and Lamprey where he's like, hey, look, Eagle, I know you don't dig me, man, any more than you dig any of us ex-institutors, but when we got to work together, I'd appreciate if you at least talked. And he's like, I'm sorry, man, I'm just not very talkative. He's like, no time to rap now, Wings, we're here already. And they introduce Redstone and Moonstone. They go try out for the squad. And they're all like, all right, they're in. Woo, we got 2 in of our 6. And they call Master Menace. He's like, you need not go through the trouble of getting the behavior modification machine. My sources inform me where they've got them. And Master Menace is like, I'll just loot them myself. I fuck you guys. He's like, well, we got people in. He goes, all right, you got 2 weeks, but if not, I'm coming in and I'm coming strong. And Master Menace is just a fucking dick. I kind of appreciate it. But they go back to that hospital where Quagmire's at, and like it's overflowing. And they make a decision. They're like, the only way to do this is take him off life support. So Hyperion goes in and takes him off life support, killing, or his body disappears. He gets sucked into the interdimensional, and Dr. Decibel drowned and is just dead. So the body count rises.
Yes, another one dead.
And then we see more of the members of Nighthawk's team are now part of the squadron. They're doing little exercises and find out Inertia is kind of a badass. Like, she literally can take whatever's thrown at her and throw it back at something else, or steal from other people.
These are really cool characters. Later. Like, even though they're based on other.
I don't think she's based on another character though. I don't think there's another character in DC I've seen like that. Like Redstone might be Apache Chief.
Yeah. You're right.
Except he doesn't grow tall. Same with Haywire. Thermite, I'm not sure about either. But the new team, they all integrate in, and Mink's like, she's Catwoman. She's like full on like, hey, come here. I used to be an heiress. I got bored. Let's make out. And they get the files for the behavior modification device. They send it to Master Menace. He's like, good. He's like, I probably would have created a shit show anyway and revealed myself. So fuck it. I'm going to build this thing. And the brainwashing comes into real effect where Apex sees something, but it's a squadron member.
So he can say anything. Yeah.
Basically goes into an aneurysm and goes into a coma because their brain locks.
Yep. It's like, shoot,
which I think
I have to say something, but I can say anything. But I have to say something, but I can't say anything. It's literally a loop.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because I was like, okay, so like, because I remember another character said, I can't even think of saying anything without wanting to puke. So to see something like that, and then, Nighthawk's teaching Minx how to do judo, and then he gets a call from Master Menace. He's like, all right, I reverse configured it. We got it.
It's done.
And
we got this.
they trap Lamprey with some haywire and put him in the machine. He's like, I hate those fucking jerks. All right, I'm back. And they start basically taking everybody and deprogramming them. Foxfire, though, doesn't seem to want to. Shape doesn't want to. And Master Menace is like, no. I did my part. I'm out. Fuck you guys.
Check it.
I'm not here to team up. Like, you want to do some more shit? Call me, or I'll call you. But like, don't show up at my shit anymore. I'm done. I just kind of love how he's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I told
He
you I was
any of it. He doesn't want any of it. Just leave me alone, man.
Something else they had here was with these hibernation things to heal people. They have the God made death for a reason, right to die signs. I just started thinking of Jack Kevorkian and his suicide machine and all that. Like, it was crazy.
Bro.
And then the squadron comes back and they're like, who the fuck is in this chopper in our yard? And it's Nighthawk, and seems like, listen, bro, we outnumber you. He's like, oh, do you? And all the other people turn. And Dr. Spectrum kind of starts the fight off because he's like, don't see me. I'm just going to lock these dudes down. And didn't go so well. And Redstone starts pummeling the shit out of Hyperion. He's like, whoa. No one puts baby in a corner. Who's doing this?
This is when we finally get some action again in this book.
There's a lot of action. Like, I think we had someone dead in the first 5 pages. So inertia starts when Hyperion's throwing punches at Redstone, takes that inertia and throws it at Power Princess and hits her basically with 3 of Hyperion's biggest shots. Like, knocks her out, and she was walking over like, I don't know if she's going to do the kill shot. But Spectrum hits her in the small of the back, and I'm like, fuck, the way this book's going, he might have crippled her.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't have doubted it. And he's checking on Power Princess and Black Archer now, because Golden Archer went with that team. He shoots an arrow to get him away, and he's like, I'm rusty. He's like, wait, is that Wyatt? He's like, that's right. He's like, don't think I won't. And he shoots it, and Spectrum he thinks about nuke real fast, and the little bit of hesitation, his power prism, her power ring, gets shot and shatters. It bleaches his skin white. But now he is the power prism, basically. And Black Archer, that's his buddy, he goes to catch him and stops him from crushing his head. Blue Eagle, being a dick, comes over that mace and fucking bashes him right in the back of the skull. And Lamprey manages to go over because Redstone's holding Hyperion. He gets Hyperion's powers and he's like drunk on it. And Foxfire's holding Spectrum, and she's like, oh my god, Joe, I love you. And he's like, I'm not dead yet. And then Lamprey goes after Blue Eagle for being a dick to him and sucks all the energy out of his wings, the anti-gravity device. So he's falling to the ground, and he sees Pinball, because Pinball's had nothing to do this whole time. And glides and lands on him, breaks his neck, breaks Pinball's back. 3 down. Because also, I think we had just lost Thermite because someone broke his his temperature regulation device, so he went on fire and also sent an big ice wall. Remnant's like, oh my god, Pinball. He's like, Lamprey, go get him to the hospital. He goes, oh, fuck that. I'm not doing that. He's like, I got people to kill. And Nightwing's like, all right, Redstone, we've done enough. He's like, look at this. We got people down in every side. He's like, we have heroes have fallen on both sides. And this is like the big speech. He's like, if any of them die because of today's fighting, it will weigh heavy on my conscience until the day I die. But I would have felt far worse if I hadn't brought about today's uprising. He's like, whatever are we going to do with you people? I don't know yet. All I can tell you is we're not going to behavior modify you as you would have done to us had we lost. Violating minds is absolutely immoral as we see it. Anyway, after we determine how to keep you people from society, I like you people from society. I was like, wow. We will begin to phase out your innovations of the past year. We will offer criminals the option of undergoing anti-behavior modification. That means by which we liberated Lamprey, Foxfire, and the Shape from your control. We will reopen prisons, legalize guns, remobilize the armed forces. The Hypernacle program will never get off the ground. In short, we'll restore the country the way it was before superhumans began throwing their weight around. And then it cuts over to Dr. Spectre. She's like, oh, if you still love me, Fox, why did you go along with them? She's like, I was scared. She's like, I'm going to prove to you, Joe, how much I love you. Famous last words.
Right.
And then Nighthawk's still doing his speech. He's like, let's leave morality out of this for a moment. You want to know what the biggest argument against what you and the Squadron try to do? It's that you create a utopia that needs you to constantly maintain it. All of the things you've given the world, behavior modification, gun control, abolishment of the militia, hibernacles, all of those things only work for the good of society as long as you basically good-intentioned people oversee it. But what happens when you're gone? Can future generations be trusted to use what you've created and nobly as you did? I think not. Your utopian society is a failure because it requires beings as powerful and good as you to prevent its abuse. Today's utopia could be tomorrow's totalitarian state, all because you gave men the means to create it. Better dismantle your perfect system and let the government of the imperfect species man be an imperfect system he is capable of handling. And Foxfire runs up, puts her hand on his chest. She's like, Nighthawk, it's Spectre. He goes, yes. She's like, I decided the only way to win his heart is by using the power to rot yours. Gives him an instantaneous heart attack. She's like, nothing personal, but without you here to lead them, I'm hoping your little opposition group will fall apart.
Yep.
And Hyperion flips out. And she threatens Redstone. She's like, I'll do it to you, big guy. And she's like, Joey, I did it. The Squadron can still win now. The opposition lost their leader, and he's like, what did you do to him? She's like, I caused the tissue of his heart muscle to weaken, giving him a massive heart attack. Don't worry, it happened so quickly, he felt little pain. And then it shows her facial gesture.
Yep.
Mink ran her through with her claws. Because Catwoman's not going to lose her man.
Another dead one.
And then Dr. Spectrum has an emotional breakdown and then blasts Mink with a giant red burst that more than likely fucking killed her.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. I like that in that page we see him going from white to red when he got angry.
Shows he's like a mood gem.
And then when he's when he's flying away, he's green. When he's flying away, where he's green.
Yep, and then like Lamprey's like, I'm gonna take your power too. He's like, all right, you asked for it, fucker.
Yep.
And basically gives him so much he explodes. And he's just like, good riddance.
Bye.
And Hyperion's like, this is all a waste. What a fucking tragic waste. There has been too much loss today. With Power Princess's approval, the Squadron Supreme hereby surrenders. And they're in there and they go, 7 people dead just in that fight.
7.
Nighthawk, dead on arrival. Foxfire, died in surgery, an hour, massive internal bleeding. Blue Eagle, dead on arrival, broken neck. Pinball, dead on arrival, broken spine. Black Archer, died in surgery a half hour ago, massive trauma to the head. Thermite, still in critical condition, 10% chance of recovery. Lamprey, dead on arrival, haven't found all his body parts.
I shouldn't be laughing at this.
And then Arcana has her child that's a boy. And Hyperion's like, there was a danger in calling ourselves the Squadron Supreme. We began to believe that we always knew what we were doing, that our noble ends justify the means. Before he died, Nighthawk made me see that in our haste to save the world, we never considered the long-range consequences of our deeds. Ours is a precarious utopia built with the most dangerous tools yet devised. We dare not make society dependent upon them. I hereby move to disband the Squadron Supreme and dismantle the system. End of the book.
And that's the end.
Yep.
I like that some of these characters, some of those villains, like Shape, he's there in the background with with the other kids, witnessing the birth of the other kid. He's like
well, he finally found his place.
Yes, even though he's not brainwashed anymore because they reverse that thing. He's like, no, wait, I actually kind of dig this. I like this. I'm cool with this. So I'm just gonna stick around. I like that. And some of these characters, they were like, no, wait a minute, sort of have a change of heart, I guess.
The outcasts all of a sudden found their place, but they were probably evil because they were outcasts.
Yes, exactly. I would like to see an original copy of these books, because something that I don't like. Oh my God, I'm sorry, my allergies like today.
The recoloring
is the recoloring, because I do not like these older books recolored. I thought I did, So here's the thing: I had no problem with that, but lately.
So I'm not gonna lie, this isn't recolored massively. I have the original issues. It's not.
Yeah. So it's like it's clean up. The colors are clean up, and the pages are pure white. And usually these old books, you're used to seeing them. Their pages
it's that
are
shit paper.
It's a little bit of white, which gives a different tone to the whole to the whole thing. Seeing these pages in pure white pages like that, it there are moments where it feels like too plasticky,
Yeah, this was on that old paper.
Yeah, so it's not the recoloring per se. It's more like the color technique. You can tell that for this print, these colors were made solid digitally. This is a digital. They match the colors perfectly, but these are digital colors. These are not the old, putting colors together with halftones and mixing stuff.
So there's 2 more OGNs that came out after this. So one is Death of the Universe, where this character that was in the old Marvel 2-in-1s called the Nth Man escapes into their world and grows so big he's going to destroy the universe. So the Squadron saves it, but also they get lost and ending up in the Earth 616 in Quasar with Dr. Spectrum, Hyperion, and later on they have a No World Order with the Avengers or something, or they were in the Avengers, the one Busick was doing. They got stuck with the Avengers and they eventually get back home.
Shoot, yeah, I think I remember seeing those
and
those covers.
They find out that
I think Carlos Pacheco was drawing that at the time, right?
Yep.
Damn.
The world survived. They ended up back on the Earth, but found out not only did the Earth survive, but corporations took it over and used all the old shit from the Utopia program to take over the world. So everything that Nighthawk said could happen, happened.
Yeah.
So they had to take down the world again.
Damn it.
And then later on, J. Michael Straczynski reimagined this as Supreme Power.
Yes, I do have those. I have some of those traits
with
there.
Beautiful art by Gary Frank, where I first noticed Gary Frank's art style changed for the amazing. Oh yeah, Gary Frank.
I got those books. I got them as a gift from a friend, and I've never actually I haven't actually got to read them.
Well, after reading this, then you'll read that and go, "What the fuck was?"
It's dark. Definitely,
it's really dark.
I don't know if I want to read another dark book right now.
Yeah, but it's like a reimagining. So the thing I'd say, like, if you took like, did you ever watch Brightburn?
Yes, I love that movie. That was a
It's
great
like
movie.
Brightburn. Like if Mark Miller were writing it.
Okay, which is that yeah, that makes sense.
It was very much like Brightburn, especially the Hyperion part.
Yeah. Okay, gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, it was really good. So, again, this is your first time reading it. This is the first time. I used to read this every couple of years, but it's been probably about 7 or 8 years since the last time I read it, where, like, I hate when I read something and go, this just happened in the news recently, where, like, it starts kind of becoming, like, a weird, like, symmetry of the world. It's like, all right, that's uncomfortable. I don't think I like this.
Right. When you read things, you get, I want to escape a little bit from reality, and then you read something it's like, well, this is too close to reality right now. I kind of don't want to read this right in second.
Yeah, I do love a book where the heroes aren't buddies. They're clearly not buddies. Like a couple of them are buddies, but there's definitely like a pecking order in that group. And a lot of people die early. Often there's emotional moments. But like you said though, like it's weird though because the color palette is so bright that it confuses you because the tone of the colors never change. And I can't tell if that's a good idea or a bad idea because
I don't think that was never part of the plan for the book. I think that because we see the same thing with previous books that are not similar. Like, but in a book like Watchmen, you can tell that the color palette was already that was part of the whole planning process. I think this is just it's just another comic book, and the color palette was just it's a Marvel comic book. Let's color it like we color all the Marvel comic books. I'm not saying that that it wasn't thought of or it wasn't, but I don't think that they had in mind using colors to help the mood of the book. You know what I mean? It was just okay. We're just printing, we're just coloring it like we color all the Marvel books, because I think all of the Marvel books were when you look back and you read all of these things, they are all more or less colored the same way.
So this kind of reminded me, what was that Mark Waid book we did that was it in Dynamite or whatever, where it was like the Justice League story? They were like, you're never fucking publishing that with us. Where had their basic Superman went nuts and was killing everyone. Yes.
Irredeemable? Yeah.
This kind of reminded me that of like, I feel like Gruenwald had a Justice League story he wanted to tell.
Yes.
But he was locked into Marvel. He's like, well, fuck it, I'm going to use these characters just like Irredeemable. I can just see Mark Waid walking in there to like, get the fuck out.
Which a lot of stuff like that wasn't Umbrella Academy like that. This is a Doom Patrol that never happened,
Yeah. So that's kind of like the vibe I got from this of like, he had this Justice League story and he was never going to get to write it. Yeah. And he's like, this is the closest I'll get. And then I sat there, you think about how this would be as a Justice League story. And I'm like, DC would never fucking publish this.
No, I wouldn't see DC letting him publish. Wouldn't have published this story, especially because again, I am making a lot of assumptions here. The way he wrote these characters, although that's Batman and that's Superman and that's who and that's the other one, they are way more flawed than their DC counterparts. DC are basically gods. All of them are god level tier characters. Even characters like Batman, which are basic human being, it's at a whole also, other level.
You referred to this book earlier, but really until Identity Crisis, I never realized there was a problem between Green Arrow and Batman. Like that was never really ever in my wheelhouse. And then all of a sudden, that book, I was like, oh, they got fucking problems, and that went on for like a year or 2 years.
Because I think that's that type of writing for DC. It's a little bit more modern, I guess. I don't remember ever, reading these characters aside from the occasional, let's put this against each other for the sake of having them in the book together, but something like long storytelling, like after, like Bruce and Green Arrow having issues for a little while. I think that's more modern. I don't think that, again, making a lot of assumptions here, that DC was, didn't want to portray their characters being that flawed, I know that Kevin Smith had problem with having Batman pee himself after an explosion or having a sandwich, stuff like that. So I definitely we wouldn't have seen this published by DC if it was a Justice League book.
Because I think like the first like thing in my wheelhouse of heroes that didn't like each other, which you might not call him a hero, but Punisher and Daredevil. That was like the first that was kind of in my, and of course Batman and Superman because Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, but even Batman and Superman, they don't like each other, right? But they
respect each other.
But they have immense respect for each other, and they work together. And lately, they like each other. Even though people hated some of the Tom King Batman run, I did like the double date issues that they had with Catwoman and Lois Lane with Superman and Batman. I think those issues were really cool. They were really cute issues. I feel like that should have been a like a mini series or a Elseworld type of thing and not be part of the run, because I think that the whole wedding thing was just but
it's a mistake.
I was willing, I was willing to see where it was going. I was willing to follow and see where it was going and give it a chance. I wasn't, I'm not gonna even try this thing. This is stupid. I was hoping that they would they would do it and follow through. I was like, okay, I'm interested. I'm curious what's gonna happen now. But no.
So I know we talk about how we've kind of mentioned books, like if you like what we're talking about, this another book to check out, like Identity Crisis we kind of talked about, because there are somewhat parallels. Definitely Irredeemable is one that popped up into my head of like,
yes.
Fuck, even Black Hammer.
Superior Black Hammer. Superior by Mark Miller.
Yes.
That was another one. But I think that everything with Mark Miller is disturbing to read sometimes. Not disturbing, but expect it to be.
Like Jupiter's Legacy was another one that like.
Yeah, the Jupiter's Legacy and the other one, those are. I would say that I would.
It's funny. I hated the first miniseries of that, the Jupiter's Legacy, but I love the sequel. Yeah, the second series of it was so good.
Yeah, I was a huge Miller fan for a long time, so I have those books, and I loved all of those books. I was really excited every time one of them would come out. But then after a few, you started to notice. I've said this before. You started to notice that he starts writing. This story.
He's got a formula.
He has a formula, and then you have 1 issue, 2 issue, 3 issue, and issue 3 you go like, man, this is not a 4-issue miniseries. But then issue 4 is like, and it's over. And you're like, and that's when I started to lose interest in his work.
So this is one of those books I have fond memories of, and taking the nostalgia glasses, like, this is a giant fucking book. Like, it's a thick boy, and there's a lot of dialogue. It's not like you're getting splash panels. There's literally barely any.
350 something pages, and it's and each page panel is
It's dense.
like it's dense in dialogue. Like, oh my god, I don't think I've ever read a comic book that has so much dialogue.
I it's weird because like before reading it today, I probably would have had it like a 4 out of 5. I think I'm at a 3.5 out of 5. I think people should read it. It's weird because like I always talk about like this is a book that Watchmen buried.
Yes.
Actually, everything in the 80s buried it because there's so many big tentpole books that came out within this like weird range. Because Craven's Last Hunt came out during this. Like, there's so many.
Yeah, there was a lot of good books coming out that during that era. Holy shit! I never actually sat down and think about that.
So another thing that came out during this. Do you remember when the Masters of Evil invaded the Avengers Mansion and put Hercules into a coma? They beat Jarvis almost to death. That happened in this timeline. The Mutant Massacre happened in this time area around this. Like, Apocalypse got introduced around the same year.
Yes.
New Mutants Demon Bear saga happened.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. So here's the thing: I wouldn't compare anything that was coming out with anything X-Men because I feel like X-Men it's a whole thing on its own.
Yeah, it was. So Silver Surfer got his own series right around this year. Fantastic Four, John Byrne was writing and doing the art for at the time. Marvel had a lot of stuff going on. I think the Vision Scarlet Witch miniseries came out around this time.
Yeah, at that time, everything that I was reading was whatever I could get my hands on. So it was like a lot of the things that I would get sometimes would not be.
In DC, Jason Todd was getting beaten to death and killed.
So all of these books that were more mature, theme and stuff like that, I didn't read any of this book until I was in my early 20s, I think. Late teens, like between 18 and 25 is when I read like The Dark Knight Returns, and I read Watchmen, and I was already basically an adult when I read all of these books. I can't imagine me reading any of these books when I was younger.
I did read this younger. I found a store that had them all like $1 each because they were had gone off the shelf. So I started buying them. I remember my first DC book was Batman 10 Nights of the Beast. That was one of them. And then during Lonely Place of Dying, I bought my first Titans issue and had no idea what the fuck was going on, but it tied into what was going on.
Yeah.
After Jason Todd died. And then I started like Green Lantern Emerald Dawn came out. There was just like a bunch of books that started, and then I started becoming a Green Lantern fan. I think I was pretty solid Green Lantern right up until Kyle Rayner. I wasn't a big Kyle fan. Never a big Superman fan either.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Superman. I like Superman.
I go through phases where I really like Superman, or it depends who is writing.
Yeah.
Like Philip Kennedy Johnson, like I loved his run. Some of the John Byrne run I liked. I really liked Greg Rucka's run. So
I noticed that I can't read Superman on a regular basis. I can't. And I've never read Superman like that. Like every month reading Superman. I try that, but I do love like getting, trades. I a shit ton of them. I have way more Superman books than I thought I had. That's why I can't say that I don't like him.
Yeah, well, the Philip Kennedy Johnson run, like
I just finished that one the other day. That was really good.
So good, and I mean that literally made me reach out to contact him and be like, "Hey, will you come on my show? Because I got a lot to talk to you about."
Let's do this.
Most interesting dude. And then I bought Tessa original page of art from it for coming to my Christmas party, flying down here for that weekend.
Yeah.
Got her the Lois Lane page, which turned out to be the key page of like the whole run because he actually messaged me going, "Oh my god, you got her the page." So that's awesome. Like she almost cried getting that. So
That's pretty cool.
I made sure it was a Lois Lane page though, because she loved Lois in that. Grant Morrison's Superman, especially All-Star Superman, was probably my favorite Superman.
Yes, that was a really cool run. Yes. But
We've
I don't think I would read more Grant Morrison than those 12 issues.
No, that was the perfect
Mm-hmm.
issues. Like, I don't need to read any more Grant Morrison of his Superman because that's
it. That was it.
Yes.
Like,
it's kind of like Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. Like, for all seasons, I don't need to read another Superman book with them because that was perfect. Before Superman comes out, we've discussed that we're going to do for all seasons. That's going to be...
Yeah, we're going to leave that one for the movie when the movie comes out. When does this movie come
out? June? I think June or July.
This year? Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, I believe it's not too long from now.
Yeah.
I freaked out. I freaked out because, oh God, what was the thing I just saw? It was like coming out Thunderbolts comes out in 2 weeks. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Already? Oh my God. I missed Captain America New World.
I didn't love it.
Really?
No. Thunderbolts, Florence Pugh's White Widow, I love, especially from the Hawkeye series.
Yeah.
I loved her in that. So we're next month going to be doing a George Perez book. We're still figuring out which one, but we're going to be honoring Mr. Perez because we have not done a George Perez book on this show at all in the 6 years almost since we started.
Oh my God. 6 years. Yeah. I haven't decided which book. It's between Crisis on Infinite Earth or the first volume of his Wonder Woman run, or the first volume or one of the stories of the Teen Titans, one of the Teen Titan trades. Probably Udo's contract. I don't know.
I might have to ask John's Comics. He's a huge Perez fan to come on for that.
Yes.
He just started collecting the trades of the Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
The omnibus, and those are fucking great.
Yes.
I think he was writing those too, if I believe.
The Wonder Woman stuff?
Yeah, I think he was writing and...
I think so, yeah. Let me check. George Perez, Len, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Len Wein.
And there you go. And Greg Potter.
Okay, so he had another writer with him. Yeah, there's another Wonder Woman book I at some point wouldn't mind doing. Dead Earth by Daniel Warren Johnson.
I've been meaning to write that one.
It's that dude can do no wrong for me lately.
Man, look at this page.
Oh yeah.
Let me put this back.
I don't know if you know, next month in stores, it's George Perez cover month.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. So there's tribute covers to him. They're all his older art. So there's a Zatanna cover by him, a Batman. There's a Titans cover. There is also a Poison Ivy cover. I'll send you the links to where the covers look like. I order so much from online now from Third Eye Comics. Their shipping's fucking phenomenal.
Oh, I wasn't able to show the drawing but like I did last time. I promise that for next month I'll have everything ready so that I don't have the technical difficulties to show you, so you can see the drawing well. But this is the Hyperion drawing that I was doing while we were talking about this today. I'm gonna post it on my Instagram story if you guys want to go check it out.
But we went a little over what we normally do. We promised, but this was one of those episodes I don't think we could. We actually finished talking about the book at 1 hour 31 minutes. So to be fair, we did finish talking about the book, and we did not go off topic very often, except for at the very beginning, talking about our beginnings of reading. But I felt it was important to talk about how one finds a book like this.
Yes. Yes.
that no one fucking talks about.
Right? Again, it should be talked more. It should be scrutinized like other books have been. I think it's been overlooked, and I don't understand why. Because it's actually a really good book. You know,
I don't think it needs to be. I think that's the fact. It doesn't need to be scrutinized because everything's out there. There's nothing
It's
morally ambiguous to investigate because they tell you flat out, like,
it's true.
what the heroes are doing is fucked up.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. It's not subtle in its themes, you know, because when they needed to address the issue about Lady Lark
The brainwashing.
technically being raped, you know, she calls it what it is, you know. The other one calls it that's rape, you know. So they're not subtle about it.
Maybe that's what it is, because like there are parts in Watchmen where they show don't tell, and this tells you. Sometimes doesn't show.
Yeah. That which is what I was saying earlier. You know, they don't. It's not spoon fed or sugar coated. It's not. It's like, this is it. These characters. They're pretty huge dicks. You know.
They go out of their way to tell you fucking everything step by step. It's crazy.
Now I did notice that each issue, the first 3 pages, 2-3 pages of each issue is basically a recap of the issue before.
It's Dragon Ball Z.
Dude, yo. Previously on Squadron Supreme, you have 3 pages. You have 3 pages that are 3 or 4 pages that are basically the recap of the previous issue, which honestly would take this page count of this book from 356 pages to
312 maybe
312. You know, still be a 300 plus page book, but yeah.
But thank you everybody who joined us and listened to us talk about this book from 1985. That has, I don't think the art aged well, but I feel like the story is still relevant.
So the art is pretty, I would say that it's a product of that time. It's actually very well done considering some of the books that were out there, out by that time. No, that's not true. I think everything during that time was really good. It's now that we got a bunch of lazy shit out that just subpar.
Thank you, Black Delegation.
Thank you.
One of my coworkers.
Nice.
So
next month we're gonna do a George Perez book, right?
Yes, definitely. And what games are you playing lately? I have to ask.
I am playing the finals on Mortal Kombat at the moment. I started an Uncharted, and the first Uncharted game that I've never played before.
Oh.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Is it good?
It's fun. Like, you'd probably like playing the samurai more than the little ninja girl, because the samurai can just wail through doors and shit. Plus, you can spec weapons, like you get bleed damage, poison, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as everybody was like making it sound like it was going to be. And then occasionally I've been dropping in and playing this game called South of Midnight on Game Pass. I've been playing my Xbox way more than my PlayStation lately. I haven't even fired up my PlayStation.
I only have that PlayStation. And I played the other day a little bit. Oh man, I forgot the name of that game. It's weird. It's a really weird game. These dudes get abducted by aliens, and he gets pulled up to be an alien, and then he gets this armor that used to belong to an alien bounty hunter. And I forgot the name. But it's wild. It's wild. It starts with the characters doing coke in the bedroom or some shit like that. yeah, it's really wild. And teenagers too. You know, it's like, what am I looking? What is this game? You know,
this sounds like the game that's by the guy who did. Do you have a gun that talks in it?
Yes, it has a gun that talks. Yes.
The High Life or Life. It's by the guy who did Rick and Morty. He wrote it.
That makes sense, because it does sound like Rick and Morty. It does sound like a Rick and Morty game. Yes, that makes sense.
That's what it is. All right, everybody. Okay. Thank you. And we'll see you the third week of next month.
See you next month, guys. Thank you so much.